All right, so in class today, we didn't really have enough time to go into the kind of depth I wanted to go into with the information cycle and the homework that you have for that. So I am going to share that with you now on this video. Um, if you have any questions, please contact me sooner rather than later so that we can get things straightened out as soon as possible. So I'm going to now share my screen and stop my video so that we can concentrate on the information cycle. Okay, so by the time you watch this video, I will have added a link to this video, to the information cycle and anything else you need onto the agenda for the week, and that will also be posted in Blackboard for you. So we're going to be looking at the information cycle as a research tool. Maybe. All right. So as we kind of talked about in class today, there are two ways to develop your research using this information cycle tool. The first thing is you can take the topic that you have and you can identify a key event, date, place, person, or whatever related to the topic, issue, or question, and look for information at each point in the cycle. And that's pretty much what I did on this example. There's another way you can do this though. If you already have done a bunch of research, or this first way seems a little cumbersome to you, maybe a little limiting or confusing, then what you can do is just do the regular research on your topic and then use the tool to sort your sources to where they belong on the cycle by identifying the source type, the rhetor, the audience, and the purpose of each one. When you first go to the information cycle, you're going to see this set of instructions here. It's actually an infographic, by the way. So you're going to see this set of instructions on clicking on the info cycle buttons and filling in your topic, and then looking at the source types that are available at that point in time, deciding whether you're going to go by exigence or by sorting your sources, and then filling in information as you go. And one thing to note is that, one thing, you don't have to have notes for everything, every point in the cycle. Which you'll see mine is a good example of that. And then you can also click around, you can go back and forth and enter and edit information as you like. You do not have to do this in any particular order, which for some of you might be really liberating. Okay, so the tool itself looks like this, and when you are ready to start working on it, these will be clickable buttons in the information cycle website. So you could click on immediate for the immediate event. And you can see how the information we get sort of spirals out. It's kind of like the Fibonacci sequence here. And you get the hours and then days after the event, weeks after the event, months, years, and decades. And notice how these circles get larger as they go. And that's because our knowledge, our understanding, our information available generally increases over time. Right, so once you have clicked on one, which in my case would be the immediate, you're going to be given this kind of file card overview. Immediate resources are when information first breaks, and that's what is called the exigence. There are sources and outlets that specialize in providing immediate information to the public as it becomes available. Those sources include social media like Twitter and Facebook, as well as 24-hour news sources like CNN, Fox, the Associated Press. The information that you get from these sources is breaking news, initial reactions, and early facts, but there's also some confusion and misinformation because so little is known right at that point. Most often the rhetors, the people who are speaking, who are writing, who are sharing the information, are journalists, the ones who get there on the scene right away. And then general citizens, the general public, people who happen to be around at the time. Um, the audience is a general public audience, and the purpose is to inform. Even though a lot of times it's misinformation, the whole purpose actually is to inform, to share information about what's happening. So I had chosen COVID-19 vaccines, which I had already typed in here, but you're going to see that I refined that on the idea of working on exigence. But this is what your screen looks like. And then what you'll do is you will look for your sources and you'll add the information. So my exigence really was the Johnson & Johnson vaccine recall, which, as I said in class today, that concerns me because 2 weeks ago I got that vaccine. And I fall into the age range, although I am now 2 weeks beyond, so I'm outside that 6 to 13 day window. But blood clots, I mean, that's a serious thing. So I typed in my Johnson & Johnson vaccine recall because that was my exigence. And then I did a search of the earliest thing I could find was from the FDA, which is not one of those like social media or 24-hour news sources, but it was the earliest thing that I could find on this topic was the FDA statement. And so I linked that here, and then I have my information from the statement that I typed. And then I also thought, well, I want to see, well, what was happening on social media, like right when that statement was released. So I thought, well, I'll try Twitter. And so I typed into Google Twitter : and then I think I typed in Johnson & Johnson vaccine recall. And what came up, there were several things that came up, and the one that I chose to follow was the Twitter hashtag Johnson & Johnson. And then I had more information that came up here, which you can't see on this screen. This is still all from the FDA thing, but you'll see it momentarily, the information that came from Twitter. And then just in the interest of time and getting this done before I have to teach again in a few minutes, I didn't do a third source here, but I could have. I could have checked other social media. So then I went to hours. And in the hours after the event, you get other types of news outlets and sources coming on the scene, giving some more information. Maybe they're correcting some of the early information, or they're just adding new material. And they add layers to the information as well. And so you've got national and local news, you've got radio, you've got news websites that have all had a chance to kind of jump in and figure out what's going on as best they can. And so you get daily news, news facts, on-scene reports and interviews, background information and context, objective reporting, initial commentary. And again, you have the rhetors are the journalists and the major news organizations. The audiences are general public. Viewers and users seek out trusted sources. So we kind of have our sources we tend to go to because we believe that we will get accurate information from those sources. And then the purpose here is to inform. It's to establish an early sense of the facts, timeline, people, causes, consequences, etc. And so for my Johnson & Johnson vaccine recall, which this carries over, you don't have to type it again, I had found through one of the Twitter sources, I found the Washington Post article that came out a few hours after the announcement was made. And I have information that I got from there, which some of it was the same from my earlier sources. And some of it was adding more information or clarifying some things from the earlier sources. And then I would continue for this one. I could only really do days because this all came out on Tuesday. So, and today's Thursday. So it's only been a couple of days. So I could do one more layer and I could do days and get some more information there, most likely. And at that point, I would be done. So again, in the interest of time, I didn't do days for this one, but if I had, it would show up. So then once you've gone through all of the stages that you're going to go through, all of the points on the information cycle that you want to go through, you can come down and choose print your research. When you do that, what comes up is a workbook. Now, on the site, it comes up looking like this workbook here, and all of your information is in it. And so you can see you can see where I have more information, like from Twitter, here, my Twitter stuff. And for me, I just put a space in between because I'll know what my sources are. If I were, that I might be confused, I might put something here like FDA and here Twitter, and just so I could know what information came from what source. And then you can see that my Washington Post article, I have a lot more than what you could see on the screen originally. And then I didn't have anything for the rest of this, but whatever I did have, that would show up here as well. And then from here, you can choose to print it, or my printer is broken, so I can't print it. But if you don't want to print it, or you can't print it, then you can save it as a PDF. So when you choose this print, for me, it's set to save as PDF because my printer doesn't work anyway. So everything I've been printing recently has been to PDF. And that's how I got, I'm going to cancel that. So you can choose that and print it, but that's how I got this, which I uploaded so that I could share the link for you. But this is just a PDF version of my workbook. Right? And so that is the end of that. What you want to do for your homework is you want to choose something that's been in the news recently, and you want to trace it back as far as you can. So again, for me, with the Johnson & Johnson thing, I might, if I were going to focus solely on that, I might stop at days. But since my overall original topic I had down as the COVID-19 vaccines, well, for that, I can go back weeks and I can go back months to learn more about the development of the vaccines and the different technologies used, because Johnson & Johnson is a different vaccine technology than Pfizer and Moderna, which are the main ones that have been administered in the US so far. And then from there, even I could learn more about other vaccines by going back years and decades. So even though my immediate event was the pause in the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, that doesn't mean that that's all I can research. And that doesn't mean that's all I want to research. I might want to research more than that. I might want to expand out from there and go back to other vaccines and learn about the different technologies and the developments of the different vaccine technologies and all of that. And that might give me a better picture. Ultimately, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take what I've learned and I'm going to create some sort of an argumentative, meaning like persuasive, infographic, which we'll be looking at next week. So in order to do the assignment next week, you have to have this research done before you come to class on Tuesday. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to do this. And guys, next week's our last week of classes. The week after that is final exam week. We don't have a final exam in this class, but I did say that you might have an extra credit opportunity for those of you who want that opportunity and need that opportunity, and that would be your last chance to do that. So do your homework, please. All right. If you have any questions, concerns, or anything, please contact me and let me know so that we can get things taken care of as soon as possible.